Welcome to Kim Talks Books. I'm Kim Hayden, your host. As we step into the quiet spaces between the lines, focusing on the vibrant author's journey, we'll explore the dedication, the inspiration, and the unique perspectives that these authors bring to their craft, offering listeners the profound reader's reward of discovering fresh narratives. So settle in because our literary adventure with tomorrow's acclaimed writers begins now. Alrighty, welcome back to Kim Talks Books. And today it's all about learning. And I think the world keeps showing us new initiatives, new things, new discoveries. There's so much coming at us all the time. And sometimes we have to take a step back and look at maybe what's clogging up the view, maybe what's slowing us down. Is there a cleaner, better way of seeing things? So, our guest today, Norbert, is here to share with us maybe some things you haven't considered. Welcome to the show, Norbert.
Thank you for having me. It's a very pleasure to be there.
It's part of it is you have. I love your accent. I love your accent, but I'm a sucker for an accent. Um, you know, I'm dying to dive into this because you've had a really cool, unique story, a really good journey. Um, your book is coffee addiction and caffeineism. So this is going to be caffeineism. So how do you say it? Caffeine,
Catholicism.
caffeineism. Okay. Um, I want to kind of, before we dive into the book, I'd like to know a little bit about your history, education, work profile. Like, what has brought you to the point of writing this book?
Well, I try not to go too far back. The time is too short. 40 years ago, by profession, I'm a management consultant for 45 years. And I was the youngest management consultant in Germany with the age of 23. And then one day I became sick and I was never sick. I was never in hospital, never needed a doctor. I became very sick and I knew something was terribly wrong. And by accident, I found a name in the yellow pages and went to this doctor. And this doctor was specialized at this time, 45 years ago, in food addiction and food allergies. And that was exactly 50% of my problem. And he fixed me in a few weeks and he saved my life. And I was so impressed that as an adult with my job, I did an internship in his practice. Every day except Sunday and Christmas, we would work together for 1 year. I would be his assistant, his right hand, his intern, and his guinea pig. And we did enormous, enormous tests, which normal doctors would refuse to do. And him and I agreed to say, "Oh, come on, we'll do this. We'll find out. We'll find out." I can't tell you examples because I don't want people to copy what we did. It was so extreme. It was so extreme. After 1 year, I decided to incorporate the knowledge I gathered there as a management consultant in my management consultancy. Because we discovered that and put this thesis that when we talk about addiction, that you have three P's, which I call the three P's, like the letter P's. You can be addicted to a product, which most people think about, like a drug and whatever, but you can be addicted to a person and you can be addicted to a procedure or process. So that was my big that was so big, so huge. And then I used it with my clients as a management consultant because I found out that most people I consulted had all some sort of addiction. At
I
least,
had I had somebody tell me they're an addiction counselor, and they said that human beings by nature are we are addicts of something, right? And if you choose to be addicted to healthy behavior, healthy habits, cleansing your body or whatever, or those can go into a negative space. But by just the terminology of addict, it's like we glom onto stuff.
well, to my opinion, you cannot be addicted to something positive. okay?
And see, that's what I said, but they said that the definition of addict, right?
Yeah.
But I totally agree. I that was something that I was like going, I don't want to be an addict if I'm eating cauliflower.
No, no. I would like to discuss with these people. Addiction means that you don't have a free will to say no.
Oh.
If your free will to say no is not strong enough, then you are addicted. If you offer me now steak or fish, I say, "Well, I take this today or this tomorrow, that's fine." But if the addiction is stronger than your free will to say no, then you are addicted. Not
Interesting.
not anything else. So, but there's a lot of information out there, but I must say I specialized myself over the last 25 years in this topic, right? So this is when I say you can be addicted to a person. Many people are shocked, because they always think addiction, a product, heroin, cigarettes, alcohol, right? That's fine. But you can be addicted to a person. Look at many marriages. When you watch them, you say, this is toxic. This is insane, right? They're killing each other, and they're addicted to each other. They need that, and they cannot take a step back. And then when I talk about being addicted to a procedure, a process, people completely freak out. How can you be addicted to a procedure? Well, look nowadays at the people with the cell phones. They're addicted to the cell phone, not a person or the product, to the cell phones. Or men going to titty bars or strip clubs. They're addicted to that procedure, right? I can give you an extreme example. Um, if adults sexually abuse children, that's an addiction to a process. They're not addicted to that particular child. They're addicted to that process of dominating a child,
Yeah.
right? So you can be addicted to the three P's. I call it three P's. And it means very simple. If you are addicted, you cannot say no. If you can say no, not today, I'm not interested, maybe in a week, maybe in a year, then you're not addicted. And to have a hobby and something you long for and you like to do that, that's not an addiction. That's a dedication. That's a wish you want to do, right? But it's not this
Word.
routine. It's not destructive.
I like that word, dedication. It's a dedication. I like that word that you use.
So, and when I give my seminars over the last 15, 20 years, I taught very many different subjects. I don't want to go there, there's too many. But to name two, three, what is healthy water? Okay. People don't know what healthy water is. The danger of cell phones, electromagnetic radiation, which is for me the number one reason why every third person dies of cancer. That's my opinion. Or the 19 possible causes for bad sleep, or that tattoos and piercings are the new pandemic and they both harm your body, which I explain and demonstrate. It's not just that I throw this out there, right? So, and I was always talking on stage about caffeine, about coffee, that caffeine is the devil. And to my definition, caffeine and sugar are the most consumed products in this world. The most addictive products in this world, sugar and caffeine. They are the devil. Now, understand that coffee has caffeine, we know that, but you have caffeine in black tea, white tea, um, green tea. There's caffeine in it, and a lot of products where don't consider there would be caffeine in, and especially in soft drinks, in all the soda pops, and caffeine is like crazy in energy drinks.
Yeah.
All these energy drinks are full of caffeine. So now in my book, I explain why caffeine is dangerous and what it does to your body. I give you some examples. There's a study done in Switzerland and in Australia, parallel. In Switzerland, they tested young people when they drink caffeine that they lose a part of their gray brain matter. They lose a part of their gray brain matter, which I quote in the book. I'm not making this up, right? In Australia, they did on a university in South Australia a test with 17,000 people. This is an enormous test, 17,000 people. I have hardly ever heard in my life about a study with 17,000 people, and they proved that caffeine consumption increases the likelihood of dementia, and same like Switzerland, it reduces your brain matter. It reduces your gray brain matter. This is all proven. A university in Spain proved that the problem with pregnant women expecting mothers, big problem with caffeine. Now, many mothers still drink coffee when they're pregnant, or if they don't drink coffee, they drink soda pops or energy drinks, right? Now, everything as a mother, which is logic, everything as a mother you consume runs right through your unborn baby. It cannot be any other way. It runs right through your unborn
Yeah.
baby. So they prove that caffeine creates an early birth with less average weight of the baby, and it destroys the cartilage of the unborn baby. So all these few facts I'm just giving you here are all in my book, substantiated with the sources and so on and so forth, right? And I have many more examples. The NASA did a very interesting test. In my book are two nice photos. The NASA had spiders. They did a test with spiders, and these wonderful spider webs, which you see in my book, which is normal. We all know that. You know, it's a piece of art, it's architecture, it's mathematic, it's great, great. And then they gave the spider caffeine, and the spiders were not able to create a spider web anymore.
Interesting. And I do know that they say don't drink caffeine when you're pregnant. I do know that that is, like, the doctors I went to, I have 3 kids, and they all said, "No caffeine." Um, I didn't never put, like, 2 and 2 together, right? I'm like, "Okay, I'm not supposed to drink caffeine. Alright, I'm good." And I don't do soda pops. The soda pop thing is I think more, I think it's more of an American thing. I
No, it's worldwide. Worldwide.
Yeah, worldwide. Yeah, the energy drinks freak me out because I don't drink any of the energy drinks, but you're seeing these young people having heart attacks, like having valves, like it's and hypertension and all of these things, and they're saying it's directly related to these energy drinks.
Now, the soda pops, which is the number one country in the world to consume Coca-Cola?
I have no idea. What country
You would
do
typically say America, right?
Yeah.
It's Mexico.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, yeah,
By
I've
far,
heard that.
by far,
Yeah,
by far. Okay. So it's an international problem. It's not only an American problem or Canadian problem, it's international problem, caffeine. And of course, it's a big business. Don't forget, it's a huge business,
huge.
right? Huge business. Coffee and caffeine drinks are huge business. And the interesting part is, among others in my book, that the Olympic Committee had caffeine on the doping list for 20 years.
Wow.
If you were caught with a certain amount of caffeine, you were stopped banned from the competition
Oh,
for
I
20
had
years.
no clue on that one. Never
And on one
That's
and
crazy.
then on one Monday morning, the Olympic Committee woke up and said, "Oh, you know what? Um, we take it off the doping list. It is not a doping product anymore," right? And that was at the time, 2000, 2004, when, to my opinion, all these energy drinks came up, and I that's my personal opinion, okay?
Yeah.
That this industry went after the Olympic Committee and says, "Look, if you don't take it off, we cannot sell our product anymore."
That got yeah,
Okay?
got like a little capitalism to move the mark.
So now for me, now to be more provocative, for me, um, when a pregnant woman drinks caffeine, it's the gateway for the baby to a drug world, to be a druggie later. When a baby is born and raised in the belly, in the womb with caffeine, there is a strong caffeine addiction right there. I call it gateway to drugs. So when that baby is born and you see it soon after 2, 3 years old, what do they drink? They eat French fries and drink soda pops, right? So the baby has a tendency to accept these drinks as mother milk, a replacement, right? So they are much more vulnerable to end up in a drug world, which I explain in the book.
So why write the book now? What is driving you to undertake, you know, writing the book now?
Well, first of all, I must say that all my life I never drank coffee. Never ever. I love the smell of coffee, fresh grinded, but I never drank coffee. And I basically never drink energy drinks and hardly ever soda pop. That was just my life, like it was by accident. Okay. So when I was shut down at the COVID time, I couldn't give my live seminars, and I did more webinars and so on. I said to myself, well, you always say it's a drug. Let's make a test. So I'll turn myself into a coffee addict. I turned myself into a coffee addict with the statement, I'll drink coffee for 4 weeks.
Sorry, 1 second. You can't get it off? No. I run water and soap.
And ice. So I'm keeping that one.
Okay,
And then goes.
that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Bye. I'll send you the video link so you can finish that up. Sorry, Norbert.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Family.
Good.
It's family.
Alrighty.
So I turned myself into a coffee addict by saying, okay, I drink coffee now every day, 1 cup for 4 weeks. And after 4 weeks, I'll stop. Right? Now, among my clients in management, I had a lot of alcoholics. A lot of managers are into drugs and into alcohol, more than people are aware of. You see this cool manager of this company, I don't know he has a alcohol problem.
Yeah.
So when an alcoholic drinks and cannot say no, the very next day he swears to God he never drinks again, and he means it. And he has always a justification. So if it's raining today, he say, it's a shitty weather, I gotta drink something to make my day nicer. And if it's a beautiful sunshine day, he says, look, we gotta celebrate the sunshine. Come on, let's have a glass, right? He has always a justification to drink. All right. So when I, after 4 weeks, tried to stop to drink every morning, I drove to the drive-in on my company, got my coffee and so on and so forth. And after 4 weeks, after 30 days, I said, okay, today's the last day. All right. The next day, I said, well, come on, 30 days, 31 days, what's the difference? Come on, one more day does make a difference, right? And 2 days later, I said, why did I say 30 days? Why didn't I say 60 days? So I found myself being like the alcoholic clients I have, finding a justification to keep going. And I said, crap, you're in the same thing. And that was the proof to me that caffeine is a drug and you're addicted. And it took me 2 months to get off caffeine, off the coffee. Though I only drink for 4 weeks and only 1 cup per day. So imagine you drink 5, 10, 20 years, 1, 2, 3, 4 cups a day. And then, of course, what is important to know that caffeine, coffee takes about 20 hours. 1 coffee takes about 20 hours, the caffeine to get out of your system.
Oh, wow.
And people drink more than 1 coffee, of course, right?
So then you decided, okay, so how long have you been teaching these courses, these classes, and taking on clients? How many years?
Well, clients I do for 45 years, okay? And then after this experience with the doctor, I added it to become a health and life coach as well, beside a management consultant, right? The seminars I gave in Europe and America, Canada, I give seminars for the last 15 years, okay?
15 years.
Great.
And then COVID, is that when you decided to write the book?
Well, no. COVID was the time I changed to webinars because I couldn't travel. I personally prefer seminars to talk to
Yeah.
people in person and have feedback and discussions, and I demonstrate what I teach. So people don't have to believe me. I'd physically demonstrate things, right? Um, but in these COVID times, I gave webinars, and in that COVID time, I said, "Well, I have so much off times. Now let me make the test to see, prove to myself whether it is addictive or not." And once I did that, and I saw it was addictive, I said, "Okay, now it's time. You got to get the message out there." And then I did research for 1.5 years, all this information in my book, where I told you about the Olympic committees, where I talked about the mothers, the pregnant, expecting mothers, the damages they create to the child, and so on. I collected all this information, and these are all in my book, and there are quotes in the book. So nobody needs to believe me, and there are references and links where you can go and read what I studied and what I quote there.
Amazing. Um, in doing this book, was there anything that surprised you in writing the book? Was there a piece of information that came along, you go, "Oh, that makes sense," or "Okay." Is there
Well,
anything that you came across?
oh yeah. First of all, I came across more bad stuff than I ever thought. That's the
Okay.
truth.
Yeah,
That's the truth, okay? I
yeah.
knew it was addictive, but there are so many facets which I came across in my research that I was shocked how much information there was out there, but nobody jumps on it, nobody promotes it, nobody explains it, nobody publishes it. All right. So I felt that I had to put a collection together, telling people, look, here's the book, just read it. And the important part is, it's not important whether you're addictive or not. The important part is that you understand what addiction is, because you can be addiction to anything. When I did the internship with the doctor, we had a person who was addicted to milk, and he died because of it. The doctor warned him many times. You can be addicted, of course, to sugar. You can be addicted to everything depending on what you hooked up. And if you look at the commercials, all commercials where what they advertise go through your mouth, 99% is addictive.
Yeah.
Fast food, french fries, sweets, tobacco, alcohol, even, of course, pharmaceutical products. They're all addictive. Coffee, of course, soft drinks, energy drinks. These are all products which are advertised. You don't see a big advertising campaign about salad.
No, you don't. There was an ad here in Canada for the, um it was eggs. I know there's an ad for eggs, and I know there's an ad for dairy. I am pretty sure there was an ad for something around agriculture or like produce or something, the Canadian produce or something. So, but no, you're absolutely right. They do not promote, they do not, there's no ads out there saying, eat your broccoli today, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there's no money and there's no addiction. These
Yeah.
companies are not stupid. The soda pop companies are not stupid. They spend money on something when they know once people start with the product, they have a lifetime client.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so in your book, what's in it for the reader? What is the reader's reward? Um, beyond the what you should not do or what you need to be aware of or are, understanding some of these things. Is there strategies in there? Is there um any kind of like diary or engagement piece? What's in the book for the reader?
Well, the most important thing for the reader is to understand what addiction can be. The way I present addiction, like we discussed it a few minutes ago, has been hardly presented like that, like I presented. And I would say what I present makes a lot of sense. And people just read with common sense. Second is, I encourage the reader first to understand for yourself, are you addicted? You don't need to admit it to me or to somebody else. Find out for yourself, am I addicted or not? just for yourself, for your own sanity, for your own sake, right? And then I say, okay, if you're addicted and if you want to get out of it, here are a few steps how you can do that. Okay. Then I say in my book, look, if you're addicted to coffee or alcohol or whatever it is, it's very easy to find out. Let's say, talk about caffeine. Caffeine is in coffee majorly and in soda pops and energy drinks. Okay. To find out, it's very easy. Prove it to yourself, not to me. Say from tomorrow, I stop drinking coffee and caffeine products. And you find out that within a day or two, you start to have withdrawal symptoms. Like somebody on heroin. The same situation.
Same.
You have withdrawal symptoms. And you find out, Jesus, I really they get jittery and they're thinking about caffeine all the time, and they're thinking about a coffee, and it's like wishful thinking, right? And then that you are addicted, right? And most of the readers who try this, who came back to me, admit they couldn't survive a week. Most couldn't survive 2-3 days without it. All right. That's for you to find out, because being aware of a problem is half the solution. Of course, in the book, I give alternative to coffee without caffeine, because I found that if somebody is used in the morning to have a coffee for breakfast with a croissant sandwich, I need to replace this not with water. That doesn't work. I need to replace it with a hot drink which is similar to coffee. So the withdrawal is not that big of a jump, right?
Yeah.
And I give
Yeah.
alternative, which works as a very good alternative without something which tastes very pretty much like coffee, looks like it, smells like it's similar, but no caffeine. So I give an alternative if you need something else to replace it. Okay. Then the other point of view is, if you have children who, let's say, take crack or whatever, you will learn how to understand them better and how to help them better. You, with your 5 coffees a day, or your 6 beers a day, or your whatever a day, are basically not better than your son or daughter who takes some form of harder drugs, what we call drugs, right? And you don't look down and you say, "Oh, you're weak, you're not strong enough, you gotta fight it, you gotta say no." But then he drinks his coffee, his coffee, his coffee, his coffee. So I try to build a bridge of understanding others. And there's another subject here. That perhaps that most of people who are very sick are too acidic. Have you ever talked about this in your shows?
I have heard something about this. I had a gut health specialist on, and they actually do. What do they do? They do. It's like a full. They do a whole kind of tracking your entire system. They map it out and what your system responds to, and they find. I think that's why that they get a lot of people to go back to the fermented products, because the body is our diet is too acidic in general.
Yes, and especially the drinks. When people go on my website, improveyourlife.us, improveyourlife.us, there's a button called Health, and under Health is a button pH. And I have
That's what it was, is the pH balance in a body.
a list of major products we drink usually, and I give their acidity. They're all too acidic, their pH values. So we all live too acidic, especially with the drinks, okay? And sometimes with food, of course, as well, because we eat too much meat, it's very acidic. So now what you have to know is, if somebody normally healthy water has a pH of 7.5, if I drink water of 7.5 and you drink water of 6.5, the difference is one number. You say that's not a lot. Well, it's what you call the logarithmic scale. You drink something which is 10 times too acidic. When somebody drinks 5.5 pH, it's 100 times too acidic. 4.5 thousand times. 3.5, 10,000 times, 2.5, 100,000 times too acidic. Now you say, who is so stupid to drink something which is 100,000 times too acidic? Well, everybody who drinks Coca-Cola is so stupid. Coke is about 2.5 pH, 100,000 times too acidic. Now back to coffee. Coffee is between 10, 100, and 1,000 times too acidic, depending on which type of coffee. And there's another myth out there, caffeine, non-caffeinated coffee, right? There's still caffeine in this coffee, which has supposedly no caffeine.
Yeah, I have heard that there is still residuals of caffeine in. Quick question, rooibos. So, all of my kids were diagnosed ADHD, in the Wayback Machine. When we go back 30 years, back, they want you to, not so the oldest is ADD, not ADHD. The 2 younger ones were diagnosed ADHD. However, we chose not to do medication. We did sports and swimming and things like that, but rooibos coffee is rooibos coffee, sorry, the
It's a
rooibos
tea.
leaf, it's a tea.
It's a tea.
Well, how is yeah, and it's not technically caffeine, but it does have a stimulant factor to it. And so when I was going through, the dietitian to determine, because everybody's like, "Oh, give them a Coke in the morning," right? Give the ADHD kid a Coke in the morning. Give them a coffee, so it's not and I'm like, "I'm not giving my kid coffee and Coke in the morning." And so we went on rooibos and a chai it was a chai rooibos, so it had, like, the cinnamons and all these things in it, but it wasn't a black tea, it was a rooibos. Um, do you know anything about rooibos? Just out of curiosity.
Well, basically, if the tea is a really fruit tea, it has no caffeine. Okay,
Yeah.
but like chai tea, which I used to drink, and especially when traveling in India and so on, in chai tea is loads of caffeine because chai tea is based on black tea,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, this was a rooibos one, it didn't have the black tea in it, it was the rooibos leaf, but it had cinnamons and nutmegs and everything in it.
All fruit teas are good. They're harmful.
Is rooibos a fruit tea then?
Rooibos is a plant.
Uh-huh,
Is a plant.
yeah,
It's a bit like a cherry plant, and it has
South
friendly.
Africa, correct?
Um, yes, South
Yeah,
Africa.
South Africa.
South Africa.
Yeah, because they were saying that people will chew on the leaves directly for energy. So it's got some sort of natural something or other in it. I have no clue.
Okay.
That I would love to know more about because I will tell you, I do agree that there are alternatives out there, right? And I had my kids on a beautiful rooibos tea in the morning, and it just seemed to help set the day. I just couldn't bring myself to give my kid a Coca-Cola in the morning,
Of course.
right? So yeah, I'd love to if you ever get a chance to kind of chase that down because I've told a lot of parents that have a neurodivergent child, which by the way is not a bad thing, folks. It's just brains we're human, right? I don't know why we have this like everybody has to be a certain way, but yeah, that was my alternative for my kids. And I do think that's why my oldest is not really big. Actually, none of my kids are drinkers. And none of them are really yeah, like, I don't know. I
Well,
it's
at the moment, they make heavy advertising for mushroom coffee. Heavy advertising for mushroom.
But what is that?
Well, based on mushrooms, maybe not in Canada, but here in America, you see advertisements on TV, commercials all the time about mushroom and on internet, on YouTube, everywhere. And there are what I call cheating people, misleading them, whatever word you use. And I researched several brands, and they have all caffeine.
Oh, interesting.
Up front, they kind of pretend, no.
Mushrooms are good for you. Mushrooms are
Depends on what it is, you know.
yeah,
There are poisoning mushrooms and there are good
yeah,
mushrooms.
Yeah.
Anyway, the bottom line is heavy campaign, but there people think there's no caffeine, but there is caffeine in it. And I read the small print.
Interesting. And, I think they slip it in places because I know here in Canada, I don't know if it's still the same, but I remember when I moved here 30 years ago, um, I was surprised because the Mountain Dew in Canada at that time it was caffeine free. And by law, if you see a clear drink, it is assumed it has no caffeine. So the Mountain Dew that was original that was sold here, and I don't know where it's at right now on it, but it was originally a caffeine-free drink in Canada.
Well, don't forget
And it's like one of the biggest caffeine drinks in the States.
yeah. Now, don't forget one thing that most of these drinks, if not all, have artificial toxic chemical caffeine.
Mhm.
It's not a natural caffeine like in the coffee beans, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's not it's all synthetic.
So the color of the drink does not tell you whether caffeine is in it or not, because the caffeine will be artificial, plastic, toxic, chemical caffeine.
So yes, the Mountain Dew in Canada up to 2012 was caffeine free.
And that
In Canada, but now it has 54 milligrams of caffeine in a 12-ounce can.
well, and if you look then in my book, I give you a statistic in my book how much caffeine is in which coffee, because these different coffees have different caffeine content.
Yeah.
They're not all the same, right? Um,
Well, there is a wonderful tea out on the market called a Red Dragon. It is a rooibos-based tea, and it's got that hint of chai to it, but it is considered an herbal tea with 0 caffeine in it.
Okay.
Saying if anybody's out there looking for something good and hot, it is a fabulous, fabulous alternative. But and just, to touch on the water, Calgary's water on average when tested has a 7.4 pH balance.
Well, there are two ways. Let's not get into water. I offer you a separate show. A separate show I have on my website. I have shows on water, on caffeine, on sleep problems, on all these things, right? But just give you one information. There is a natural pH when the water really comes from a spring, a true spring, not what they call spring water in the bottles.
Yeah.
And by law, like in America, the city water has to have a pH from 7 to 8, let's say from 7 to 8, right? And in many cases, this pH is being bought by chemicals.
Uh,
It's not a
Yeah.
natural spring pH, but being bought, so to speak, by chemicals. Okay.
well, I'm gonna look further into that because now you've got me thinking, like, what
So
really
if you look in my book, you see a lot of statistics, and you see, for example, a statistic about how much caffeine is in which they call it caffeine concentration, right?
Yeah.
And you said how much caffeine was in there?
Mountain Dew, 12-ounce can, 54 milligrams of caffeine now.
Okay, that is more than a cappuccino. That's about equal to an instant coffee, and times even similar to a filtered coffee, and of course more than a decaf coffee, and more than a latte macchiato.
Whoa.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I give all this yambo out people can read it and understand. I want people to understand. I want people to understand what's going on. So, and if they want to keep going with the caffeine, have my blessing is all fine. But would you like to understand better your life and the world and help others again?
Yeah.
Help others which are in trouble and prepare your children. I mean, if you are an expecting mother, please stop immediately to drink caffeine product if you love your baby. And if you love your child and grows up, it's it's hard what I say, but soda pops is the very last thing to give your child if you love your child. But this world is overwhelming with crap and with fast foods and with soda pops. It's a fight against the windmill, but my consciousness does not allow me to ignore it. My job is to inform you. Like I have this show, a lot of people have sleep problems. I have this show, the 19 possible causes for bad sleep. And I give you the 19 causes I found for bad sleep.
Yeah.
And you can look at them and say, is that me? Is that me? Is that me or not? Right? And I give you the data why cell phone is bad, why Wi-Fi kills you. Of course, I have solutions. I develop technology and solutions to these problems. But my original thing was to find out, because I was sick 17 years ago when my oldest grandson was born. I was sick for a while because of cell phone, and I wanted to find a solution. There was nothing which worked. So I ended up to make my own cell phone protection. And then I ended up to have a company manufacturing in Germany. I never wanted the manufacturing. Okay.
Yeah.
But I ended up because my consciousness, what's the use if you have some knowledge and you don't share it? Knowledge makes only sense if you share it with others. If you keep it to yourself, excuse me, what's the use of knowledge? We have to
Yeah.
share it. At least offer it. Offer it. You know,
What is that saying? There's a saying around, you may know something, but if you don't share it, you might as well not know it.
Hmm.
So,
So unhappy what I found.
Norbert, can you close the show with my favorite 9 words? When you read, you will learn, so you can. Fill in the blank. Close the show for me.
When you read my book, you will learn in 110 pages lots of things which you were never aware even they exist. And you will be able to understand yourself and the world better. And to understand yourself and the world better means to become more happy and more causative about your life.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Norbert. That was perfect.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This was lovely. I'm going